What's up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube exclusive with the Deep Dig. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how you're feeling about the content we're putting out. Send us to a 49ers fan.
It really helps out the channel. We appreciate you.
All right, so we're talking about like what head coach could get fired potentially next with Matt Rhule getting fired. How are we feeling about who is on the hot seat?
Well, let's go through the list. I would say Hackett is definitely on the list of the hot seat. I would say sneaky, like they did bounce back this past week, but for a while, for like 2 weeks, it was like, what the fuck is John Harbaugh doing? What is going on out here? The defense sucks. So I would retract that, but I would say, like, depending on how the season ends for the Baltimore Ravens, that might be a sneaky, like, hey, what's going on here? Who else? Do you think Saleh would be the guy?
No, Saleh has the Jets looking decent at least. And he has always the fallback of like, well, Zach Wilson got hurt. We're still a young squad. I saw someone was like, you can't believe that they got Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, and who's the wide receiver they got this year? Garrett Wilson, all in the same draft. Like, that's a solid crop of young guys. They're a really young team. I think he's fine for at least another season. But I was thinking like the Chargers coach, Brandon Staley. Now that I'm thinking more about it, like the Commanders, man, Ron Rivera. He's done. I think he's done.
What do you mean? Like, it's Carson Wentz's fault.
Oh, that was dirty. That was dirty of him. He's just like, yeah, everything is Carson Wentz. No, Ron Rivera, like, when's the last time Ron Rivera has been great?
Not great, but 2 years ago they were good with Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, they were okay. I mean, I thought they were entertaining because of Heineke, but he should have been able to build off of that and keep it going. It's really regressed since then. I just think he
regressed because of Carson Wentz. Because Commander Carson came in and just wrecked it.
I think he's just done, dude. I don't think he has it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what does he bring to the table that's really innovating the teams that he's coaching?
I think he's a guy that's going to be done. I think also Frank Reich with the Colts.
Oh, yeah. They've been trying to get rid of him.
So, yeah, I heard the GM saved his ass this past year, but I think Matt Ryan, a guy he really pushed for, it really kind of puts the nail in the coffin that he's done.
You can't be like, oh, it was Carson's fault, and then go get a quarterback and then suck. Like, that means it's your fault. You.
Did I say Hackett already? Or did I just double tap Hackett?
I think Hackett should be on the hot seat because I think he's not a good coach. But realistically, the Broncos aren't going to do that, especially when they just paid Russell Wilson. They brought in this guy who's supposed to be offensive genius that they hyped up. They hyped up this roster. Like, they're going to save face, dude. They're not going to fire him.
They're going to fire him. I'm calling it right now. I'm going to 100% he's getting fired, bro. There's no way. This owner did not pay $4 billion for them to come out and lose like this, especially if you're supposed to be an offensive guru.
They'll win enough to
looks like shit.
You know, when you do franchise mode as a coach and you choose how many wins is your goal so you don't get fired, like, he's going to hit that goal just enough to not get fired this season.
See, me and you are complete. Like, no. This guy the owner came to the Broncos and was expecting a championship level team. They just added Russell Wilson. He bought the fucking franchise. They're ready to roll. Now it's like, okay, well, you can't get rid of Russell. Someone has to be held accountable for this. And it's going to be Hackett. He's going to be done. So I'm going to go ahead and say he's 100% fired.
To me, how long do we let this Dan Campbell Lions thing go?
Oh, I'm riding it till the wheels fall off, dude.
I love the guy, and I love what he's done to the team, but they keep losing. Like, how long until, like, oh, well, he has a great attitude and the players love him and they're motivated, but we still fucking suck. Like, they can't play defense to save their lives.
They don't, like, who wants to go to Detroit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's such an uphill battle for the Lions. I think when you have a guy like this, you just keep him. You know what I mean? Someone who actually wants to be there, who takes pride in being the head coach. I think eventually it's going to cultivate like a winning attitude, but he was stuck with nothing. This roster sucked. Now at least they have a really like high scoring offense. I mean, it's the highest paid offense in the league, but they're scoring the ball. So I think eventually, like, you get enough draft picks, you cultivate that winning culture. People are going to want to jump on board, but I think you have to ride it out with Dan Campbell. Otherwise, who are you going to get? Like, who wants to go there? No one.
Maybe they could call Matt Rhule, see what he's doing. I don't think he's busy lately.
But
Jinx. All this to say, what jobs are going to be open? How are we feeling? Because our guy Demeco Ryan is getting a head coaching job. So like, where are we feeling he's going to land? Like, what jobs are going to be open? Who would like let their coach go knowing that Demeco's coming in?
I would say, if I was Demeco Ryans, the number one job, like if this is like, oh, I have a perfect destination spot, 100%, it's gonna be the Chargers. It's fucking loaded. You're actually a defensive guy who can step up, and with Khalil Mack, Bosa, with Derwin James, like that's gonna be a roster that I want to work with. And I know if I get that up and going, because the Chargers have underwhelmed in defense. Like they have not been good. But if he gets them up to par and has Justin Herbert with those weapons, dude, it's going to be scary. He will have a Super Bowl winning roster if he gets that defense right. If I'm Demeco Ryans, that's the pitch I'm making to Spanos. I can do this. Let me take over. Who do you think he's going to go to?
I've been saying this the whole time. He's going to be the coach of the Houston Texans. He has the connections. They're in place to have a one and done coach again. They'll get a more exciting young guy in there. And to top it all off, they're in perfect position to bring in Jimmy G to be his new starting quarterback. He's going to pull a Willie Beeman, Al Pacino.
He's just going to take him with him.
Yep.
Hey, Jimmy, let's ride.
I think that's the way to go. If not that, I don't know what's committing to a defensive. What team is committing to a defensive coach right now, where offense is kind of riding high? I think there was surprisingly, a lot of defensive coaches got jobs in the past 2 years, and I don't see like which ones are working out. Eberflus with the Bears,
they look like shit, but they beat the 49ers.
Salah's over there doing his thing,
but also because he was coupled with a really good GM. Joe Douglas is a badass. So I think that I don't necessarily hate where you're going with Demeco Ryans to the Texans, because they have Kasarik in there who could really, like, he learned in New England. Who knows how involved he was, but I think he can cook some things up, especially with a really good young head coach that's going to almost like not bow down to him, but like, hey, don't worry about the roster. I got the roster. You just cook it up. Let's go. And so I think that'd be like a really good combo. I also would like to see him take over. And I know this is not going to happen, but what if he went to like a rival? What if he went to like the Seahawks?
You think Pete Carroll's going to walk away after this year?
Pete Carroll's like 75 years fucking old, dude.
Yeah, but he runs like he's 65, dude. Like, he's ready to go.
If I'm Pete Carroll, I'm like, hey, I proved I'm better than Russell Wilson. What else do I have? A Super Bowl under my belt. I've proved I'm better than Russell Wilson. He's not shit without me. I allowed him to microwave some stuff. He ain't cooking, but I think I'm ready to step away.
He's not going to leave Geno in his prime.
If I'm Demeco, I'm like, hey, that's a pretty cool little spot there. They have like 1,000 fucking picks now because they traded away Russell Wilson. They have cap room. Like it's a pretty interesting spot, especially with a good crop of young quarterbacks coming into this draft. I think it could be pretty interesting.
No, I got one for you that I've kind of forgotten about, and I don't think anyone's really talking about this. But before the season, actually at the end of last season, when Sean Payton retired, and they hired Dennis Allen as coach, the first thing I was like, he's a one and done. I don't think they wanted to hire Dennis Allen. They would rather keep Sean Payton. But it was pretty much the consensus in the building that everyone wanted Dennis Allen to be the coach. And I think they wanted to make a bigger splash and like get someone more offensive, someone I don't know who, Urban Meyer maybe.
What if they go
But
and get Sean Payton out of retirement?
they should, but I'm saying once Sean Payton retired and they gave Dennis Allen the job, I said that had one and done written all over it. And the way the team's performing and they're not looking good with any of the quarterbacks, I think this is a spot that could open up, and that could be a great get for a Demeco Ryans. They just have to solve the quarterback problem, which is not a small task, but that defense is pretty solid, and they have weapons on offense. So if Jameis is the guy, then maybe he could step up and do better. Taysom Hill is there making crazy amount of good plays. Like, why can't they just let him just be on the field at all times? Taysom, just you play quarterback, but you're not really a quarterback. Just do football. Taysom, go play football. Like, the guy's amazing.
The only thing that I have to say about that is you don't normally see teams go from one thing to the same coordinator type of guy. So you don't really see them go from a high energy like guy to another high energy guy. You always need that. Like, okay, well, we had this, we need a drastic change. So the only problem with that is Dennis Allen is a defensive coordinator. Demeco Ryans is a defensive guy. And I know I said that the Chiefs or the Chargers would be that like perfect spot for Demeco Ryans, but that defense is just too fucking talented for you not to have a defensive coach. Whereas the Saints, I think it's a completely got to kind of take it down to the studs and then rebuild. I don't see them being, good within the next even 3 years.
What's actually crossing my mind right now that I think is actually a real possibility. The Raiders.
Oh,
Las Vegas
McDaniels?
Raiders.
One and done?
Out of here. Go back to Belichick. Yeah, he's
Dude,
not looking good.
it's going off the rails, and it's going off the rails quick, brother. It's looking bad.
And imagine Demeco taking that over. Like, I think the fans of the Raiders will be hyped to have Demeco in there.
I think they would. I think that's the type of player that type of coach that motherfucker they get excited for. They like. Did you see him on the sidelines during the Panthers game? He was out there just like hyped, ready to go, and it wasn't like it didn't feel over theatrical like Salah could get at some point. It was just like pure joy at like I crafted this up perfectly, and I know I'm getting Matt Rhule fired. And realistically, if I wanted to walk up here and tell David Tepper this is my job, that he would give it to me. He'd give me a blank check right now.
Oh my God, that would be the ultimate boss move, dude. Like, he gets rid of that coach, and then immediately when the season ends, yeah, it's my job. Like, I'll fix this for you. Don't worry. But yeah, the Raiders would be interesting, man. Like, they have a lot of young pieces around the roster. They have some veteran guys with Devontae and Derek, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller. Obviously, like, that offense is set up to be good. Yeah. So you don't already check that off. Like, if you get the right coordinator in there, Demeco, like, you guys will be fine. The defense has the like Max Crosby. They have some young corners.
And two, Mark Davis wants it to be like the Raiders to be the main event in Vegas. And they just haven't had that yet. They had that like glimpse of hope last year. And they took a really big swing with Josh McDaniels, and it's just not working out. And they went out and they got Chandler Jones. They got Devontae Adams. They should be a winning. They should have stepped up, and it just hasn't happened. If you do get a guy like Demeco Ryans in there, it will re-energize the fan base, and it puts them again, as Mark Davis is like continuing to push for that like main spot in this really big like tourist spot of Las Vegas. Like, he wants to create a buzz against the Raiders, and I give him a lot of credit because he is like truly trying to make that happen, but the play is just not there this year.
Yeah, and what's like a great way to energize the fans and like bring some hype into the stadium is like big defensive stops and making a lot of big plays on defense because fans are desensitized to touchdowns now. I think when crazy defensive stands happen now, you hear the stadium go crazy. Look at every time Ufunga makes a play, how fucking loud people get.
Yeah.
Like that's what Demeco would bring to your squad. And then, just imagine a Demeco Ryans led team built around Cleveland Farrell. This is gonna be crazy.
Dude. Yeah, so I think we're in agreement. Demeco Ryans goes to the AFC West, but I'm saying Chargers. You're saying Raiders.
Let's ride.
Put it on wax. Let's go.
Like, subscribe, comment.